In order to implement the social and economic reforms after independence, the major program of the government was to abolish the zamindari system and to provide for the land reforms across the country. Every state was coming out with Land Reforms Act, and the first state to pass the said act was the Bihar Land Reforms Act of 1950, followed by the Madhya Pradesh Land Reforms Act and the Uttar Pradesh Land Reforms Act. All these acts were challenged by the zamindars before the concerned High Court, wherein on 12th March 1951, the Patna High Court declared the Bihar Land Reforms Act of 1950 to be unconstitutional as violative of Article 14. The Maharaja the Raja of Darbhanga had filed a suit challenging the validity, wherein the High Court had pronounced this judgment on 12th of March. The Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh High Court upheld the validity of these acts. The state of Bihar filed an appeal before the Supreme Court of India challenging the decision of the Patna High Court. Despite the pendency of the appeals before the Supreme Court, the Provisional Parliament came out with the first constitutional amendment on 18th June 1951, which inserted Article 31A and 31B to the Constitution with retrospective effect. It introduced a Schedule 9 to the Constitution, wherein the first act that was placed was the Bihar Land Reforms Act of 1950. It is because of this constitutional amendment that the judgment of Patna High Court came to be nullified. The zamindars, therefore, challenged the first constitutional amendment before the Supreme Court on the ground of violation of fundamental right and altering the basic structure of the Constitution, as it took away the judicial review of the Supreme Court and High Court in order to examine all the acts which are placed under Schedule 9. It also violated the right to property. The Supreme Court in Shankari Prasad Singh Dio versus Union of India held that the constitutional amendment were not amenable under Article 13 and could not be held to be void on the ground that it violated fundamental rights guaranteed under Part 3, as the constitutional amendments are passed exercising the constituent powers under the Constitution and not the legislative powers, and therefore the law defined under Article 13 would not include the constitutional amendment. Since the first amendment was held to be valid and properly passed by the Provisional Parliament, the challenge to the Act on the ground of violation of fundamental rights was not within the purview of the Supreme Court, as it took away the powers of the judicial review under Article 31A and 31B. The result was that the acts passed and challenged before the concerned high courts could no longer be attacked on the ground of infringement of fundamental rights guaranteed under Part 3. With respect to the compensation that was to be paid to the zamindars in order to acquire their property, it was highly unjust and inequitable and also illusory. The Supreme Court had to accept the contention of the zamindars that the compensation was highly illusory. However, the Supreme Court observed that since the Constitution itself provided for an embargo in order to delve into the questions of compensation, it did not deal with such issues and left it on the legislature to decide the appropriate and just compensation to be paid to the zamindars. With respect to public purpose, the Supreme Court observed that the public purpose has to be construed according to the spirit of the times in which particular legislation is enacted and so construed. The acquisition of estates has to be held to have been made for a public purpose. With respect to Section 4 and Section 23 of the Bihar Land Reforms Act, which provided that 50% of the arrears of rent which were to be paid to the zamindars would now be forfeited and had to be paid to the state exchequer. With respect to taking away of the 50% of arrears of rent, the Supreme Court observed that this was not done under the public purpose. The state was not entitled to forfeit 50% of the revenue of the zamindars. With respect to this contention, the Supreme Court observed that it is a well-accepted proposition of law that property of individuals cannot be appropriated by the state under the power of compulsory acquisition for a mere purpose of adding to the revenues of the state. The principle of compulsory acquisition of property, says Cooley, is rounded on the superior claims of the whole community over an individual citizen, but is applicable only in those cases where private property is wanted that public use or demanded by the public welfare, and that no instance is known in which it has been taken for the mere purpose of raising a revenue by sale or otherwise, and the exercise of such a power is utterly destructive of individual right. Taking money under the right of eminent domain, when must be compensated in money afterwards, is nothing more or less than a forced loan. As already stated, the only purpose to support this acquisition is to raise revenue to pay compensation to some of the zamindars whose estates are being taken. This purpose does not fall within any definition, however wide, of the phrase public purpose, and the law therefore to this extent is unconstitutional. The result is that the provisions of the Bihar Land Reforms Act contained in section 4 and 23 are held not constitutional. The rest of the act is good. The appeal are therefore allowed except to the extent indicated above. So despite of the constitutional amendment and despite of having an embargo on judicial review to examine the enactments placed under Schedule 9, the Supreme Court, however, still found certain provisions to be unconstitutional as it did not come within the purview of public purpose, and also the Supreme Court held was a fraud on the Constitution as it took away 50% of revenue of the zamindars on arrears of rent, which was not permissible under the Constitution, and therefore declared it to be void and ultra vires the Constitution. This was a landmark judgment of that time, and this raises some important questions regarding constitutional law.